shop, and I said, well, do you, I said, unfortunately, I have a smoke detector right by my office. He said, we're talking sparks and fire, shooting up in the air. We're not talking like a little smoke detector thing.
Oh my
So
God.
that's when I knew that I had some things to learn from Ed. And so we're really glad he's here today, and he's agreed to let us to let us record the session. And so Chrissy's here with me, and she is going to handle the recording part and handle the handouts. And so, Chrissy, what do you want to say to us? Probably we need to mute ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And let me just say that Ed is in his shop, so you might hear some background noise, but take it in stride. That's the way it is when you're a working man. So, I'm gonna, we'll mute ourselves, and then Chrissy, do you want to say anything else?
Whatever handouts we'll have the handouts, and whatever else we'll email at the end, we'll send an email out. So if you have any other questions, we can get it from Ed and I'll email it out later. That's it.
Okay, good. Well, Ed's been the store manager at Yakima Networking for 5 years. He performs everything from tech work, remote support, inventory, and front counter support. And we asked him to talk about common questions that people bring into Yakima Networking. And he's going to cover those, and as it relates to PCs and Macs and iPads, laptops, desktops. And he's also going to talk a little about recycling computers and some other topics possibly. And at the end, we have a chance for questions and answers. So welcome, Ed. You're on.
Yay. Welcome, everybody. Good to see everybody here. So I apologize. This will be, if we do this again, it'll be a much more organized on my end. Business has been busy and booming, so we're very thankful for all of that, but it's also left me very little free time to do things. So one of the things I guess we could start off with is one of the questions I have is, how often do you need to get a new computer? So that would be the average lifespan of a standard computer could be anywhere between 5 to 7 years. Anything longer than that, you do risk the chance of the hardware aging out. So Macs are a little different than that. We're talking more of a Windows PC. They, with enough tender love and care, they can last 8 to 10 years, but you are pushing the threshold of the hardware that's inside, and that goes for tablets, that goes for cell phones. Mac, same thing. They tend to last a little bit longer just because of the way that they're designed. They're anything like, in this case, Mac computers are considered a business grade laptop, versus like computers like, say, HPs, Lenovo's, or anything that you could get at like the big box stores, Walmart, Best Buy, Office Depot. Those are consumer grade laptops or consumer grade computers, and you can those should be able to last around the 5 to 6 year mark with proper maintenance. So when you're, one of the things was what considerations should you have in deciding when to replace it? If you are at the 10-year mark, it's probably definitely time to look at replacements, or if it's starting to cause issues like what we talk about with the blue screen of death, where it's a big blue screen with a unhappy face on it, that can cause some issues, and that can be usually fixed. But if it's hardware related and it's an older PC, sometimes it's just cheaper to replace the actual component or the machine itself. Let's see, what else do I got here on my list of things to talk about? Oh, so like what Mary Lou was talking about with her battery. And you know something, hold on one second. Let me just.
Ed, can I ask one question
Yes, please do.
on this? How long? Because I know quite a few people, I think, here even have Macs.
So when you say max a bit longer, how much longer?
So, I mean, and
That's what
now
I have.
this is going to be, I see you're on an iPad right now. How old
Right,
your
but I
how-
have a Mac, you know,
Uh,
book that I got
okay.
in 2019.
Okay, so 2019. Okay, so you should be fine. Again, with the proper maintenance, you should be fine for 5 to 8 years. And not to give you a generalization of the time, but it's a computer component, so at any time it can just die, unfortunately. But with the majority of the ones that we see, you're looking at 7 to 8 years. And that's
So-
if
okay.
that's if Apple doesn't decide to change something on their end where your machine is no longer able to upgrade to the next operating system and they age it out essentially.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
yeah.
What do you mean by proper maintenance? Maybe you're going to talk about this later, but
Yeah,
is that just
So,
accepting all the updates, or is that something?
well, yeah, updates, but also we recommend to our customers to do at least an optimization, and an optimization would be just speaking in general, like what we provide. If you were to bring a machine into us, like say yearly, we would perform an optimization on it, which is a generalized cleanup. We would scan it with about 9 different pieces of software, get rid of any temporary files, malware, spyware. We scan it for viruses. We check all of your security updates through Mac OS or through Windows OS. And we make sure you don't have any remote software, any kind of junk software that might be on there, any kind of bloatware, which usually comes with computers or devices that are pre-installed from the manufacturer. So we go through all of that. And then from there, we can also tell, like, say, if it's a laptop or if it's a desktop, we can make recommendations in terms of if it's 6 years old or 4 years old, we can say, okay, your drive inside the machine needs to be replaced, especially if it's throwing up red flags or if we notice that it's throwing up errors, that we would make recommendations during that time.
Okay, Ed, we've kind of shifted to a back and forth. Do you feel okay about that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, well, let's see how that goes. And
Sure.
I have a question too. When you say that you need to replace it, could you replace it with a used, a redone one? I mean, do you sell used computers from?
We do sell new and refurbished computers, and the refurbished computers that we have been inspected by me and my technicians to make sure that everything works on it. If there's a specific component that doesn't work, we notate it, or we just don't sell it.
Mhm.
We don't sell anything in the shop that we wouldn't feel comfortable selling to our friends and our family.
Mhm.
We want to make sure you have a quality piece of equipment. The refurbished machines that we have desktops and laptops, and they range from $200 on up to $550 is the most expensive that we sell. And then the brand new computers start at, for desktops, it starts at about $850 and goes up from there, depending on what you want. And then with laptops, we only carry one brand new laptop in the shop, and it's a Lenovo ThinkPad, and we sell those for about $12.
Now, what's the life expectancy of a refurbished computer?
Depending on the age, like the refurbished laptops that I have in right now are about 2 years old. So, and they have a brand new drive in them. And again, we go through and check them out. So they're 2 years old. You're going to probably get around 5 to 6 years out of it.
Okay,
Hmm.
thanks.
Do
So-
iPads, can you do that tune up on an iPad, or does an iPad need that?
Not really. iPads, the operating system is a lot different than a normal, like say, like a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro that uses Mac OS. It's a different type of operating system. As long as you keep up with your updates on your applications, but also check your system updates to make sure that you don't have any iOS updates pending, because that also upgrades your operating system on your iPad, but also your security protocols on your iPad too. So
Okay. Thank
So,
you.
someone's on the phone, so I apologize about the background noise.
so bombarding you with more questions, but every time. So when there's a new iOS, let's say, I'm scared to do it for a couple iterations because it seems like there's always bugs until you get to version 4. Is that stupid on my part to wait a little while or? No?
No, on iPhones and iPads, it's probably okay, just because we deal with it all the time. The iOS updates are usually pretty good. The Apple OS updates have the last 2, which is what are we on right now? I don't even remember what the newest one is. It's something new. But the ones previous were OS Monterey and OS Big Sur. And Big Sur, when it first came out, was terrible. It had so many issues. I can't tell you how many Macs I fixed in the first month of it releasing. So if you had, like, say a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro, I would probably say if you had the opportunity to upgrade to, like, say, the latest and greatest, I would probably wait. And that's another thing that if in doubt, you can give me a call. And then if it's something that I ran into and it's running problems, I would probably suggest, maybe waiting for a little bit. Like with Windows 11, for this instance, just as an example, with Windows 11, when it first released, a lot of customers upgraded to Windows 11 from an older PC that was compatible. Nothing but issues. And so, like, currently right now, we don't recommend anybody to upgrade to Windows 11 because of potential issues. But if it's a new PC that already has Windows 11 in it, just like if it was a new PC that came with Big Sur, it's okay, because that PC is designed to run with that operating system. Hopefully that answered that question.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah. Let's see.
You were going to show a battery that
I was. Let me
Gonna
bring
show
that
us
up.
Mary Lou's battery?
No, it's long gone.
he didn't keep it around, but
I did not.
how he knew that, and how he knew that it was swollen is that my computer didn't close completely, but I didn't even notice that. And this friend of mine I was telling this looked at me really freaked out, and he said, "Oh my gosh, that's probably why I noticed my computer when I put it on the table, it rocks. It doesn't go all the way flat." He said, "I bet you my battery is about to."
Oh my God.
Yeah. These
Yeah,
are
so I'm rocking mine back and forth now here, Mary Lou.
now to be honest with you, the benefits of being at the shop, I can have examples. So on your laptop, you have feet. So don't take the rocking for a possible swelled battery. If you notice that when you close the laptop, if the lid doesn't shut all the way, or if let's say your keyboard is really, like, if you were to hold your laptop up and you could see a big hump in your keyboard, that's probably a puffy battery.
Wow. Interesting.
It can happen to phones too, right, Ed?
It can most definitely happen to phones. So, like, here's a MacBook Air, and so this is perfectly flat all the way, but I've had laptops to where one corner will shut, but it'd be like this.
Wow.
And that's because the battery has swelled up this entire area here and actually pushing up from the trackpad, the mouse.
Interesting.
Yeah. So for an example, I have a picture. I was going to have a physical battery here, but it's puffy enough that I don't want to bring it into the shop. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you guys can all see this. Share.
Ooh,
Gosh,
Oh my gosh.
ooh,
Can you see my mouse on it?
yeah.
Yeah. So this is not quite the extent of what Mary Lou's battery was, but it was really close.
Wow.
And this is a MacBook battery. This is a MacBook Pro battery that is puffy. This one next to it is a cell that is also failing. And the plus side is, like in Mary Lou's condition, the battery was easily removable. Now, I have other MacBooks that are newer and their batteries are physically glued in. If you have a MacBook Pro, your battery's glued in.
Mhm.
And it is glued in by about, I want to say, let's see, 12 strips of very high, very strong adhesive strips in underneath those. And so when they're puffy like that, I have to be extremely careful. I can't just unplug it, unscrew it, and then take the battery out. So
You have to put on your hazmat suit.
practically, yes.
Hmm.
So how do you dispose of those? Because
So
legally, I guess.
our recycling guy actually goes through and he enables them inert. Usually what I've done in the past when I used to work with a lot of like remote controlled cars and stuff like that for a hobby. And they use lithium ion batteries, which is what that puffy battery that you're seeing on the screen is. And you can soak them in salt water to render the battery inert. It takes a while and you still have a risk of fire, but usually you know, I do that outside. I would put it out in my driveway and put it out there for about 12 hours or so. And then once it's done, I take it to a recycling department, which our recycling guy does the same thing. He renders them inert and then recycles the actual battery itself. So, and yes, the question earlier was, or the statement earlier was, can cell phone, or the question, yeah, excuse me, cell phone batteries do this? Yes, absolutely. I have one in my trunk of my car right now that is as puffy as the one you see on the screen.
Why are you keeping it there? I mean,
Forgetfulness. I quite literally forgot to, that is not what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So what percent of batteries do this? I mean, is it a natural aging thing, or is it 1% of batteries will do this?
I don't know the actual ratio or percentage, but it is batteries that, it's a mixed bag. Batteries that get charged all the time that don't ever get a chance to actually be used. Like if you had a laptop and you left it plugged in all the time.
in fact, Ed, will you talk about that next? That's really important because I never knew that.
Yeah. As soon as I figure out how to stop sharing the screen.
Yeah, okay, just put stop sharing. There's going to be a place where you can say stop sharing.
Oh my gosh, I leave my plugged in all the time.
Or who's ever in charge can do that too, yeah.
Oh, thank goodness.
Good.
Because I didn't see it on my end.
Okay, great. Hi, Harry. Great. Okay, so yeah, talk about plugging in. I mean, what's good for a battery? Because I that's probably why mine swelled. I leave mine plugged in a lot.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Sorry. There we go. How do I do that? We'll just do that. There we go. I can just see everybody at this point. So, yeah, leaving your computer plugged in for a long period of time, you know, we don't recommend that. If you are, for some laptops, like for the laptop that I just showed you, the battery is removable. A lot of people will use their laptop as their main computer, and they will leave it plugged in weeks on end. As you definitely don't want to do that. Ideally, ideally you would want to, at least for the longevity, the life to increase the lifespan of your battery, you would want to leave it plugged in, and maybe unplug it for like a couple days, or at least use the battery. Like if you leave it plugged in all the time, that's fine, but unplug it periodically, use the battery until it gets almost dead, and then go ahead and plug it back in. Whether it's once a week or twice a week, that's probably okay. At least once a week. If it's been 3 years and you've never unplugged it to use the battery, that battery's probably dead, or it will last maybe a few minutes and then just die.
So it's important that you completely use it up.
Ideally, yes. When you first, just like when you get a, I don't know why I was going to try to show an example, but if you get a new device, like say a new cell phone, for example, chances are the battery in it has not been fully charged and it probably hasn't been optimized. So same thing with a laptop. You would plug it in, let it charge to 100%, unplug it, use the device until it's almost dead. This again applies to a laptop too, whether it's Mac or PC. And once it gets down to the point where it says low battery, please plug in, or low battery, it's going to shut off. Then you plug it in, charge it up to 100% again without using it. And then you're safe to go after that. So you can unplug it, plug it back in, and charge it whenever you need to. That's just kind of training the battery to get used to the charge, use, and then charge again procedure.
So it's okay if you have like 60% on your phone, but oops, you know, you're gonna be gone for like 24 hours and you want it charged. Is
Mhm.
it okay to charge it when it's not
Absolutely.
down below? You know,
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, good.
Especially if it gets used. Yeah, absolutely. You definitely want to do that. Let me bring my,
Oh, man.
So
there we go.
We want Ed to talk about, Linda, do you want to jump into your questions about the phishing emails, or Ed, do you want to talk about something different first?
No, we can go into the phishing emails. Absolutely.
Chrissy, can you put them up on the screen? The phishing email examples? Okay.
So the one I had, can you hear me, everybody?
yes,
Yes, yeah. So the one I had the question about was the Costco one. I know you have the email address, not from Costco. It is kind of a goofy email,
Mm-hmm.
but the content of the email doesn't seem fishy. I can't read that. What is that? What is that email address, Ed?
So the email address is, it says from
Man-
Costco shipping agent manager at cbcbuilding.com.
Yeah, what's that cbcbuilding.com?
This is just an example of a fake email address.
Oh, okay.
So if it's from Costco, it'll actually have it's called a domain at the end of your email address, or like same thing like your website, like
Right.
Yakima Networking is our business. So my email address is ed@yakimanetworking.com. So it'll have usually pertaining to the business for the domain. So in this one, CBC building, that could be from anybody.
Okay, I got it. So that's
So
why, because I thought that looked weird.
yeah,
But okay, all right.
yeah. And
But the content of the email didn't seem so weird.
so now that's where you see where the email is. The phishing emails will consistently have a sense of urgency, and it does. It says, please do this within a period of 1 week. Now that somebody, a company like Costco, to send you an email that is urgent, probably isn't going to happen. They're going to send you advertisements. They're going to send you deals. They're not going to send you something that says, I need your attention. I need you to fill out this form and send it back to us as soon as possible. That usually doesn't happen unless you know for a fact that you're waiting for this email to come from a company. This is all phishing.
Okay.
So a sense of urgency, scaring is the type of wording that they will use in a lot of emails. Same thing with, now I will say this, everything that you see here that we're going to go over with phishing emails is the same tactics that they will use, like scaring and sense of urgency, in text messages and cold calling. So if a scammer is going to call you, they're going to pretend whoever they are, and they will say, this is very important, and otherwise, if you don't do this, this and this and this is going to happen. And that's all fake, every little bit of it.
Right.
So so those are the two things that I want. And I was giving this presentation at the fairgrounds at our booth for phishing emails, because a lot of people don't see this. And this was some of the easier things to show customers what to look out for. So like for the Amazon one, let me bring that over so I have it on my other screen here. So the Amazon one, Amazon's not, I mean, for one, it says The email address says olivia@amazonsupport.com. That looks very realistic. Now that does still have Amazon in the name, and that does look like a legit email address. However, it says password assist on there. Someone's trying to reset your password from, and it gives you the location. If you've requested this, please call this. They will never ask you to call them,
Okay.
ever. They will, if you've ever reset your password, especially through Amazon, if you've ever reset your password through Amazon, they provide you a link, and you yourself has requested that. So if you know it's going to show up, and you're expecting this email to come from Amazon, then you can proceed to go through and usually be safe with it. With this one, it's providing you, you have requested a code, please call us at this number. Yeah, that won't ever happen. Same thing with
Okay.
if it's coming from Microsoft or Norton or whoever they're pretending to be, they will never ask you to call them. Big companies like that don't do that.
Ed, what if let's say they did have a problem with a Costco order, if they don't call you, they don't text you, and they don't email you about it, how would they contact you?
If there was a problem with your order, they will, depending on how you have your communication preferences set up in your account online, they will either try to reach you via email, or that's why they have a Costco support center, and they will just call you. Most of the time they will email you and give you a there's a problem with your order,
Yeah, okay.
but that's usually pretty urgent right after you make that order.
They reference that specific order that you know.
Yes, they will reference it exactly.
Okay.
It won't be a generalized email. It will give you your order number, and it will give you like what you had ordered.
Okay. I fell for an Apple scam where, there was a picture of this guy with his Apple t-shirt on, and it looked like the real thing. And I actually gave them control of my desktop before I figured out. And I figured it out because they started saying, you need to pay $300 soon. I mean, the tone began to shift because they weren't what they wanted. And that's when I began to realize that it was really off the wall. It made me a lot more cautious afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. They will be, sometimes they will be downright rude to you.
Yeah.
Just to get their point across. We've had customers come in saying that the gentleman has yelled at me, has called me names, because they are they are trying to scare you. That's the biggest thing, is to scare you into letting them do whatever they need to do. So.
I was going to say, when I open emails on my iPad, I can't usually see the domain name. So it might say Costco shipping, but then you can't see that stuff. So what, go ahead.
If you actually, when you open up your email addresses, which I don't have anything to show you guys for an example, but if you were to click on or put your finger on the email address, it will usually expand.
On the iPad?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I usually then go to the PC if I'm wondering, and it's a lot easier, but that'd be great if I could check on the iPad itself.
Yeah, if you have a chance to come down, I can always show that to you as well. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things too with like phishing emails, there's there'll be like web links or URLs inside the emails that just don't necessarily pertain to the company. You can, and a lot of those, or it'll be like in these emails that you can see on the screen, it'll be in blue, which usually designates that it's a link to something that you can click on it. However, if you're on a Mac or a PC and you put your mouse over it to just hover over that link and don't click on it, it will usually pop up and tell you what the actual link is. So if it matches what it's on there, then that's usually safe. However, if it says it's going to take you to a completely different web link, that's probably a scam. So, and there's usually also grammatical errors misspelling of the words, or even just sometimes it's just a single letter that is capitalized. That's not, in its normal position, not the first part of a sentence, or it's a backwards letter.
Why does that happen, Ed?
Because most of the scammers, English is not their first language.
Okay.
And they're trying to type a letter to you that seems legit, and they just can't.
Mhm.
So that's just some of the stuff that we've seen. And unfortunately, they are usually not located in the United States at all. So the laws don't necessarily apply to those type of scammers.
Mhm.
So
Oof.
yeah, it's all sorts of terrible and not fun. But like one of the most common scams that goes around, I mean, I know we're going from phishing emails to scams, but they kind of coalesce. So one of the scams that's been going around for Yakima is Pacific Power. Pacific Power is not calling you, but it's a scammer calling you pretending to be Pacific Power, and they will, or Cascade Natural Gas. We've had that one go around, pretending that you have a bill for so much, and we're going to shut you off unless you pay it. And unfortunately, a lot of people will fall for that.
Yeah.
So it's um let's see, I'm in my wrong screen. 1 second. Oh no, where'd it go? There it is.
I don't know how many people, I mean, everybody has cell phones. We still have a landline. Anybody else still have a landline, or nobody else?
No,
No, okay, never mind.
There's a lot of people that have landlines. Do you have a question?
Well, no, I was just gonna say, it took me for a while, because on your phone, it's obvious that you can block, if you get a scam, you can hit and block it. It took me a while that you can go onto the Spectrum website, and it has a nice log of all the times that you've gotten calls. And you can go to that online and do the same thing, clock and block it. But you can also block, because like when I answer our landline, lots of times it has a number, but sometimes it says caller ID blocked or something. So you can
Yeah.
go to Spectrum and block all calls that come from blocked IDs, which once I did that, man, we haven't gotten hardly any calls anymore. It's not Medicare calling every 5 times a day, or Amazon. There's a charge for $900 on your Amazon account. We were getting those all the time. But
Yeah, robocalling like that is pretty common.
Yeah, I've got that too.
With I know a lot of people here said they didn't have landlines, but kind of going into a different section for security, with two-factor authentication, if you know what that is. If somebody were to, like, say, like in general, ask you, like the Amazon phishing email was, it's a password reset. And if you were to try and do a password reset on your account that has two-factor authentication, it will send you a text on your cell phone. And then you would put that code into the website, and then you can change your password. A lot of people, just speaking from what we have here that come into the shop, is in the past, they have put their landline on there, which it doesn't work because you can't get any text messages on a landline. So you want to make sure, if you do have two-factor authentication on any of your accounts, Pacific Power, Spectrum, whatever, to make sure it is tethered to a cell phone that you have.
Like for-
actually, because I have a landline, lots of times it actually, I don't know if it's Amazon for sure, but a fair number will because we have that number for authentication too. And it gives me an option of whether I want a text or a call. And so if it's to that one, you give them, and then the phone will ring and it'll say 973-421 or something. So,
Yeah, and that's okay. But you're also expecting that.
yeah.
Amazon, Microsoft, any company will never call you for really no reason.
No, I just mean you can use it for
Oh, for the
For
two-factor
us,
authentication.
if you
Yeah,
have the choice for a vocal call and audio.
Yeah. Yeah, they do give you that option, which is quite nice. Let's see. What do we got here? We
Don't
talked
forget-
about that. What was
Don't-
that?
Don't forget to talk about, we asked Ed to address, if you want to recycle your, I mean, if you are getting a new computer, how do you get the information off your old one, and what does Yakima Networking help with? I mean, what kind of recycling do they do? So do you want to address? that?
Sure, we can go over recycling. So if you were to, like, for instance, we just had a lady bring in from her business 9 computers. 7 of them are laptops, 2 of them are desktops, and all the computers are old. They're not worth anything anymore, so they will be recycled. But she wanted the data off of them and transferred out. Do we have to have the computers functional? No. So if you have an old computer that is broken and doesn't work anymore, but there's pictures in there you need to keep, chances are we can recover those, or we can transfer them out of there. So for this instance, we are going to take the drives out of the machines. I don't have another one floating around here, but yes, I do. I lied. So this is a laptop sized hard drive. This is a desktop sized hard drive. So a little bit of a size difference. So we will take them and hook them up to our bench machines and actually transfer the data out of these and onto our server. And then from there, we can put them onto any external media device, whether it's a thumb drive or an external hard drive, whether you provide it or we have here in the shop. So, and recycling is free. We don't charge for that. And we do any type of computer, new, old. We recycle laser printers, we recycle scanners, we recycle TVs, cell phones, tablets. If a lot of people have a big box of random cords that they've had for 10 years or more. I know I've got one in my garage. And you're like, if you've never taken a cord out of that in 10 years, it's probably okay to recycle it. And we recycle all of that stuff too.
Oh, great. Oh, good.
Yeah,
So-
that's good.
Yeah. And then
What
for-
happens to it
Go ahead.
when, tell them what happens when people bring it there, how your recycle guy comes.
Oh, so if you bring something to us and you don't want any of the data off of it, and you're concerned about your data, even if you're not, it doesn't matter. We automatically remove hard drives out of laptops, out of desktops, and we physically destroy them before the actual materials get recycled. And our recycling guy shows up about twice a week. If we have a huge pile, we usually call him and he will come in the same day and come and grab it all. So if there's data off of them that you need to keep for some reason, or even if you're transferring from an old machine to a new machine, which we also provide, the data transfer fee that we charge is a 1-hour shop labor, which is $85. So, and if you have like this lady, she has multiple devices, she has 9 devices, and technically speaking, it would be $85 per device. We're not going to do that. That's just too much money. So we kind of take that by a third. So we're only charging 3 hours of shop labor to recover all of that data off of the 9 computers.
So, and then Ed, you said the person who picks it up takes it all apart and recycles it appropriately, right?
Wow. Oh, that's great.
That's
All the
amazing.
metals and stuff.
all the metals and stuff, he either does it with a screwdriver or a sledgehammer. Either way, he
Wow.
separates it.
Cool.
Yeah, we've been doing that year after year after year. We don't charge for that at all. So,
Good
because
to know.
sometimes if a customer brings in a laptop and let's say it's water damage, somebody spilled a glass of wine on it and the computer is destroyed. But if the screen itself is still good, a lot of times we will take it apart and at least take the screen, because sometimes we can reutilize that screen on another laptop if somebody brings it in. So instead of charging a customer $180 for a brand new screen that we would have to order, we would have this screen that we would say, okay, well, we would just charge maybe $50 for the screen, and that would include labor.
That's great.
So I have my like 3-year-old, or it's not 3 years old, it's probably a dozen years old, but I haven't used the desktop in 3 years about. I do everything on my iPad now. or phone. And so I have the tower and the keyboard and the screen. And somewhere in there is my Wi-Fi. So you just plug the Wi-Fi in by itself. I'm gonna have to root around underneath my desk there.
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
So with the old computer, I want to bring the old tower in and the keyboard and probably even the screen. But I know my Wi-Fi thing is down there, but is it hooked up to that? I'm thinking that it is. But I want the Wi-Fi.
Well, if your computer is hooked up to the Wi-Fi and it's a desktop, unless you added an external device, which, you know, some of them are about this size.
Uh-huh.
This is a Wi-Fi adapter that you plug into a USB port and it gives it Wi-Fi. If you have added one of those, then yeah, it's easy to remove. However, if it's an internal Wi-Fi card, then you don't have to worry about anything.
Okay.
So your Wi-Fi will still stay there.
Okay. So I'll just have to root around underneath there with through the dust bunnies.
Yeah, if it's what gives you your Wi-Fi is a router.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll have a cord that comes off of there, which is an Ethernet cord, looks like a really big phone line, and it goes to the computer. Now, if you have one of those, yeah, you'll just unplug it, and then when you get the new computer, you would plug that one back in.
Okay. I just want to use my iPad. It's done
Oh
it
yeah,
for the past few years.
you shouldn't have to. It shouldn't change anything if you unplug a computer.
Okay. Okay. I'll
Yeah.
still have my Wi-Fi.
Yes, you should still have your Wi-Fi,
Okay. Okay.
unless
That
you
was-
accidentally unplug it.
which I might do. Okay.
See how easy it is to accidentally unplug something when you don't know what you're doing, right?
It is easy. I always recommend. I don't have it here anymore. I moved it. I usually recommend a labeler. So I label.
Oh, the cords. Ah,
I label everything. I mean, even my thumb drives, I label. You know, it says tools on it, just so I know that this is my tools thumb drive. But I label everything, including the cables. If I don't know what they go to, I will put a label on it and write what it is.
That's
Some
great.
people will even use a strip of masking tape, and you put it around the cord and adhere it to itself, and then you can write on there with a black Sharpie, because pencil will rub off. It just always does. Pen can also rub off. So with a black Sharpie or a marker of some sort, you can write what that cord goes to. Power cord to printer, or power cord to Wi-Fi router. Don't unplug.
Hey,
And so you recycle old phones too, is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
oh, good.
You know, as a gift years ago, I got one of those little Apple things so I could have Apple TV, but now I have a smart TV. Can that be recycled, that little
Yes,
disc
that
thing?
that can also be
Great.
recycled. Yep,
Great.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
you're gonna see some of us showing up, Ed. I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
with
That's
our box.
That's okay. I had Pingree Ford call me up about 2 years ago, and they said, "Hey, do you guys recycle PCs?" And like, yeah, we recycle stuff. Oh, good. We're gonna bring a whole bunch down. Well, it was 3 vans full.
Oh, God.
We probably pulled in 80 plus PCs that they did, and we recycled all of them for them.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
that's amazing. Hmm.
So I have an old Mac that
Mhm.
I smashed the, what is the pad?
Oh, the touchpad.
Yeah, and then
Uh-huh.
I just never used it and I moved on, but it never was in the cloud, but I have a bunch of pictures in there.
Mhm.
You can get those out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Anything newer than 2017, if the computer is no longer functioning, unfortunately, I cannot get the pictures off of them, because Apple has no longer made their machines to be worked on by a normal technician. It has to go back to an Apple store. So the hard drive and the RAM are not removable or replaceable. They are soldered onto the motherboard itself.
Oh, it's
So-
older than 2017.
Oh, then yeah, I have a Mac here that I use that's hooked up with a drive bay, and I would take the drive out of your MacBook and hook it up to mine, and I can
Oh, okay.
recover everything.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yay. Okay,
But she can do that herself, though. I mean, she can remove her pictures herself, of course.
If it's powered on, yes, absolutely.
I mean, I'll put them on a thumb drive or whatever.
Well, I guess I probably could have, yeah. I
Yeah, 'cause
just
you-
didn't ever think of it.
Yeah, because you can hook up an external mouse up to your, your touchpad doesn't have to work. You can hook up just a
Yeah.
mouse to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just put it in a closet and I don't know.
Forgot about it.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely. You just have to make sure the thumb drive is formatted for a Mac, and then you're good to go. Or external hard drive.
You know, Ed, I have used thumb drives before that I didn't format for anything. And what happens if you don't? I mean, they still.
No,
What-
yeah, if they're brand new, you've never used them, they're still fine.
Yeah. What's the
the-
advantage of formatting them for a Mac? Because then you can't use them if someone, can you take a Mac, something that, a thumb drive you've gotten and get things from a Mac and put it into a PC?
So if you were to do that, the thumb drive would have to be formatted in exFAT, so EXFAT. And that is a format that allows, like say a drive, in this case, a thumb drive, to be plugged into a Mac or a PC.
Okay, and do they come that way or do they not? Some of them?
Some of them do, yes.
Okay.
SanDisk, if I remember correctly, comes formatted in exFAT, if I remember
Say
correctly.
that again. What's that called?
exFAT, EXFAT.
That's probably why somebody gave me some thumb drives that they wanted me to have information on, and it said it didn't work on my computer. It's probably because it wasn't in exFAT, right? And they did it from a PC to, and I had a Mac, so probably that's why. Yeah. Can you change it once can you reformat if you have a thumb drive and you can't, and your computer won't open it, is there any way to reformat it so it will, the thumb drive?
Mm.
Or is it
You
just
can, but you would lose everything off of it. So you'd have to make sure you back that information up.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay, anything else people are itching to ask? Or Ed, are our questions pretty much typical to what you get of people who come in the store or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Usually I will have people show up with a list and say, I have a lot of questions. All right, that's fine. Let's go through them. And it will just rattle them off. So you guys have been answering or asking a lot of standard questions. Absolutely.
So we're not asking extra stupid questions?
No such thing as stupid questions. No such thing.
Well, it sounds like a great service and I'm gonna be there.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and you guys can always call the shop too, and whether it's myself or Dale that answers the phone, you can just ask questions too. We don't charge to answer questions. So especially if it's something odd, if you like, hey, I have something on my screen that I've never seen before, something popped up, what is it? And we can usually tell you if it's safe or not.
That's good to know.
Do you ever
So-
remote control into people's computers?
Yes, so we do remote support as well when we have time to do so, because it does take a dedicated technician to just focus on remote support, because we can't multitask. I can't at any given time. Usually, like right now, my technician Dale, he's working on about 6 computers at one time. I usually work on about 4 or 5. So it with remote, we have to just focus on what we're doing. And we offer remote support. We do charge $100 an hour for that, but we break that up in 15-minute intervals. So there's not a minimum. We do also offer, it's called residential managed services. So that provides an antivirus, a malware program, and you get remote support included monthly with that. So you can just call, and it's a remote agent that gets put on your machine. And so you can just call us and say, hey, I've got this on my machine, and we can just go through in our system, find your account and connect to your computer. And it'll say Yakima networking has, connected to your machine. So it's not surprise. And we can see what you're seeing. So
On that cleanup that you recommend doing once a year, what do you charge for somebody coming in and?
So
Yeah.
if you bring the machine in for an optimization, it's a flat rate at $95.
Okay, you said that, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And if you brought something in and you're like, I want to get this cleaned up, and we go through and really don't find anything, we just charge you the bare minimum, which is 15 minutes.
Okay.
I like making money, but I also like making happy customers.
Yeah, because they come back.
Exactly.
Word of mouth too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't pay for advertising. It's all word of mouth. So stuff like this, we really appreciate it because it can, you can ask the questions you don't normally get to ask, and you get to actually have a technician live talk to you. So this is a nice format, and this is the first one I've actually done for any company. So this is a wonderful opportunity.
It works well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. You're very
Yes,
generous with
thank
your
you.
time and knowledge.
Yep, you've answered a lot of really great questions.
Yeah, and actually, I think this Q&A back and forth really worked better than a presentation in this case. Do other people agree?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to get some of those, because it's like we're waiting till the end, bringing it back around. If it didn't throw him off too much, if he was okay with it.
Yeah, I'm really happy that it worked out this way, because I work really well when people ask me things, because sometimes I will forget about a specific topic or a subject. So if you bring it up, I can bring that directly to focus and then talk to you about it immediately, especially if it's fresh in your guys' memory.
Right.
If I don't search for something, if I have something come up and I don't search for it right away, chances are I'm going to forget it. So.
Well, so the one thing I'm still a little would like a little more information on, and if you do decide to replace your computer with a refurbished one,
Mhm.
what you're saying is that can work perfectly well, but it's not going to last as long, right?
It
Or not?
can. It
Yeah.
most definitely can. It just depends on how old the refurbish is.
Okay.
Like I was saying, the laptops that we just got in, they're 2 years old. They were manufactured in 2020. And that's, I mean, there's computers that you can probably buy in a retail location like Office Depot that it's been sitting in a warehouse for a year or more. So, and that's kind of, and unfortunately you don't know that. Dell's will put the date of manufacture on there, which is how I know our Dell refurbished laptops, how old they are, because it says the manufacturing date on the bottom, and 2020 is the manufacturing date. It's like, I think it was a third of the way through the year when they manufactured those laptops. So for the most part, so for us, for refurbished, what this company does is they lease these computers out by the hundreds to these huge companies, and they have a specific computer. They order, let's say, 500 of them. Well, at the end of the lease agreement, they are offered to either keep them or to give them back. A lot of times, as big companies will just give them back. These laptops practically look brand new. Most of the time, it's somebody doing data entry, or it's a portable laptop that just in case this employee needs it, they have it. We've gotten laptops that look like they have never been used, no scuff marks, no nothing. And I only order, there's different grades, A, B, C, D grade, and we only order A, which is pretty much brand new. Little to no use. If there's light wear use on the machine itself. And these ones are no exception. They look absolutely brand new, which is amazing. So, and if you get a machine like that, it will last for a while. Now, I'm not saying that we've had a really great track record with our refurbished laptops, but it's not to say that, we just had a customer bring one in that he bought from us 7 months ago, and the drive died for no reason. It just died. And unfortunately, with electronic components, that can happen with no warning. And everything he had on his drive was gone. I could not recover it, unfortunately. And now, not to say that to scare anybody, but that is, I'm just being clear that it's unfortunately with electronics, anything can happen.
I'm using one of your refurbs. I bought it a couple of years ago. I had to bend Dale's ear quite a lot because there were things about it, and you're very helpful to get me over the hump. Being a general Mac user, but PC savvy as well, but gosh, I really like that solid state drive,
Yeah.
and I learned a lot just simply buying it. It was made of metal, and the one that had fallen apart on me was made of plastic. And,
Yep.
you know, it was try to buy the pro level models, and I mean, that's what you have. But I learned a lot doing that whole thing, and boy, oh boy, I use this thing every day.
Oh, good. That's,
But
that's awesome to hear.
I'm reminded in this conversation that to do some backups. I have some backups for it, but I need to refresh them. They're not quite current. I mean, I'm doing something all the time on that thing. So you got to do it once a week if you're working on it every day.
Yes. Yes. Like what Harry was saying, backing up is very important. Very, very important. I can't tell you how many times we'll get a computer in and it's dead, but they'll be like, my life is on here. I'm like, do you have any backups? No.
Okay, so backups is more than cloud backups?
Well, cloud backups will only back up whatever you tell it to. So if you have all your pictures and everything on there, yeah, that's absolutely fine. But a lot of people like to have a physical backup. So they'll plug in a thumb drive or they'll plug an external hard drive in and back up everything that's important on that machine to them on that device. And it's definitely a good idea to have. I back everything I have up in triplicate.
Yeah, because your backup drives die too.
Backup drives die too. So here's an
Wow.
example. Here's an example.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Didn't either. I mean, I just assume that if everything's saving to a cloud, then you're safe, no?
I mean, servers go down and the cloud that stuff is saved to a server. Servers can drop drives. So it's cloud backups are good. I use them, but I always make sure I also have a physical backup too, just in case.
Talk a little bit, because I have a physical one, but I didn't know that can go
That can
south.
So for
How
example,
do you know that? How do you know that?
well, so
How
this
does,
is
how would I know mine's gone south?
how old is your backup drive?
I would have to check.
Does it look like this?
Kind of, yeah.
Has a single
Yeah.
cord that plugs it in?
Yep.
Okay. If it's older than 5 years, it's time to replace it.
Okay.
Just
Alright.
because give me a second. I'm going to stand up and get an example for you guys.
You know, these folks are great. They're really helpful, and I got a scanner to recycle now that you brought that up. I didn't know that you could actually go to a website at Charter and do those and block callers. That's very good information.
Yeah, thanks, Diane.
I heard a little bit of that, and by the way, that is a really good information. I had no idea about that either, so that's something that I didn't know.
Leave it to Diane. She's smarty.
Yeah, it took 3 years of these Medicare, Carlos, before I figured it out.
Oh, she's a problem solver, right? That's what you have to be if you're getting 3 years of Medicare calls.
So in these smaller external hard drives, it uses a single cable that plugs in, that provides power, and it provides data transfer. So it provides communication from here to your computer. These are great for travel or for limited use. If you leave them plugged into your machine, they are always on. Always. There's no off to these. So, and what does that mean? That means this is an example that we use here in the shop. This is a desktop size hard drive, but it is the same technology that is inside a drive that's this big and this thin. So this spins and accesses your data. So this goes back and forth and accesses your data. Well, this is called a mechanical hard drive. The rough lifespan of these is 4 to 5 years. If these are spinning and they get bumped or dropped, it will most likely kill the drive. Now, that's what's in this guy. A smaller version of this is in this one. And even if you haven't used it a ton, but you've used it quite a bit and it has very important information on it, it's definitely time to replace it the 4 to 5 year mark, just in case. Because if you have a drive that is older than that and it's mechanical by nature, it's on borrowed time.
So, but Ed, then what do you get the data from that to the, did you put that onto a new one or?
Yeah, you can have more than one of these plugged into a computer at one time, and you can just copy from here to the new one.
How do I
And-
know, how am I supposed to know how old this is? Because I bought a new Mac Pro in 2019, but I don't know if I just plug this one in or how do I know what the age is on this?
They don't usually have manufacturer dates on these guys. So for like what I would do is I would probably go to the manufacturer's website or look up the serial number.
Okay,
And then that way you can kind of see the age, unless you know roughly when you bought it. 'Cause
yeah,
then you
I
would go off by
don't know.
that.
Okay,
That's something else we can label when we buy our
yes,
external hard drives. We can put a piece of.
Yep. yes.
masking
That-
tape with the
That
date on it.
that is most definitely, yeah, a good thing. Now mechanical drives can fail, obviously. This is what's called a solid state drive, like what Harry was talking about, that his laptop is very fast. It makes a big difference because going from a mechanical drive that spins to one that does not have any moving parts whatsoever.
Are they more expensive, obviously?
They are a little bit more expensive, yes, just because of the
Get
technology.
external hard drives that are solid state drives?
What now?
Can you get an external hard drive that's a solid state?
Yes,
that's
and
better
the
too.
prices have come down on these so much. I just got an email yesterday about Crucial, which is a company that makes RAM and hard drives and everything. And they have a 500 gig external drive for about $48. They have a 1 terabyte drive for about $100. That's not too terrible for this type of technology. And the lifespan of these is, we still say it's rated by hours, just like the mechanical drive is rated by hours of use. These, every time you access these memory modules that store all your data, they degrade a small amount each time. So the higher quality, the lower of the percentage it degrades each time you access it. So there's just like now, like thumb drives, this is using flash memory, just like what this is. This is of a higher quality though than what's in here. These can die also. They're only rated for so many uses before they just don't work anymore.
So how long would a solid state drive last compared to a movable parts one?
Well, it depends on your usage. So like, I've been here 5 years. I've already on my second drive. Going from, but I use this PC all the time. Every day I'm here, I'm using it for 8+ hours a day with 3 monitors going, and I utilize everything on my machine.
Now, Ed, are you supposed to leave it plugged in all the time, or are you supposed to not leave it plugged in all the time, the external hard drive?
If it's a solid state external hard drive, it's okay. That one is a mechanical drive, Linda. That one is constantly spinning anytime you plug it in.
Okay,
And you could actually feel it. So if you were to plug it in and put your hand on top of it, you would feel a light vibration.
okay,
And that's the platters inside of it spinning.
all right.
And that you don't want to leave plugged in all the time, right?
Once you're done using it, if you don't need the information that's on that drive anymore, unplug it. Yeah.
Well, here's what I'm confused about. Why would you not need it? Because aren't you using it?
Well, if you're done doing the backup,
Then
just
just
unplug it.
okay. And then when you plug it in the next time, it'll pick up what
Well, yeah,
you-
because well, no, it won't do that automatically. There's programs that you would have to install to do that automatically, or you would have to do a manual backup. But there's a backup program built into Windows. Mac also has that, which is the
Time machine.
Time Machine. Yeah,
Okay. I
and
think
for Macs, you definitely have a dedicated. You would want to use a dedicated drive just for your Time Machine backups.
there's a lot I don't understand about backup, but I think it's too much to talk about today, so.
We could have a whole segment on that.
We might have to make it a workshop
Yeah, could we
or
do,
yeah.
something.
yeah,
We've had workshops before.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, partly it's how important or major this thing is you're backing up. I mean, every little document probably doesn't need to be backed up the day you make it, right? So if you're
Yeah.
saving stuff to the cloud and just once a month you plug in this thing and back up everything on the cloud, but if it's a major, I'm thinking of a thesis when you're, or, something that you've spent hours and hours and hours, then you want a good copy.
Yeah.
Maybe more frequently, but you don't have to back up every single document every
No.
day.
I like for my sake at my house, I do photography and stuff on the side, and all my major projects are backed up to the cloud, but they're also backed up onto an external hard drive that I unplug if I need to. And then I have an internal drive, a secondary drive that I back up everything to as well. So I keep everything backed up in triplicate, but only my major projects. If it's photos for this instance, if it's photos that I've already finished editing and I know they're good, I put them onto an external hard drive. And once they're there, I don't really need to touch them again.
and you can leave them there backed up, and the external drive, let's say you didn't even look at it for a year or two, but they're going to be safe on that drive, right?
As long as it wasn't thrown around, it should be fine, because those external hard drives have moving parts inside of them. So even if they're off, if you drop it from a considerable amount of distance, you can still damage the internals on that drive. Yes, absolutely.
Don't damage it. It has it lasts for years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Oof.
Yeah, the quality of the where's that external drive? So like for instance, the quality of the drive makes a big difference. So like for instance, I don't remember the exact numbers, but so I'm just going to throw this out, but like the drive that's in here will last, let's say 10,000 hours, okay, of use. This is all hypothetical. This drive, which is a Western Digital Black series drive, which is a higher end drive, probably lasts, let's say 50,000. So the drives that they usually put in these external housings from the manufacturer, from Western Digital, from Toshiba, from wherever, usually aren't the highest quality of mechanical drive, which is why we tell customers 4 to 5 years, especially to be on the safe side.
Mm.
That's if you're really working with, I mean, right, if you're just backing, so I don't mean to be argumentative at all,
No,
but all I do is these things, like when I have a big chunk, I just would plug it in and move it there, right? So it's been plugged in for 5 minutes or something. So if it's got
Oh, yeah.
50,000 hours, as long as I don't drop it or leave it in, radiation's going to get it, it
Right.
should be okay, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just if you're using it as an active
Excuse me.
drive a lot, that's where you're getting the 50,000. I mean,
Right.
I don't know if I have, how many years is 50,000? Do I have 50,000 hours left in my life? I
And
don't-
and I'm just, and again, that's not the actual numbers, but that's what just an idea of quality difference between the two. Now solid state drives is the same thing. Certain brands are better than others, like Intel or Crucial or Seagate. Those all make good
Seagate,
quality
yeah.
external drives.
That's what we have. And we give like some 4 terabyte ones and 8
Yeah.
terabyte ones.
But a lot of people, I only brought up and showed you guys the external hard drives, and like what Linda was showing on hers was, we get a lot of people that leave those plugged in.
Okay.
And even to their Macs, they'll leave them plugged into their Macs as a time machine backup or just a regular backup on a Windows PC. And that drive is always spinning. So it wears it out mechanically just so much faster,
Wow.
much faster than the 5 years or so. Sometimes 2 years is all it gets. So
Thanks for all your expertise.
Yeah, I
Yes.
appreciate it.
absolutely.
Okay, so let's kind of wrap up and because we've, it's already 5:13 and
Yep.
does anybody have any last questions before we profuse
Oh,
Ed? Ed,
Yep.
thanks. Anyone else? Harry, did you want to say anything?
Oh, I've just discovered my 2017 iMac has reached the end of its life. So I may have a few questions or it's come about by not finishing the upgrades. It never actually finds an upgrade. It doesn't tell me that it's reached the end of its upgrade life, but it just spins and spins. And I have a few, I'll have to come into the shop. I got a few questions. Some of the fixes are do it in safe mode. Well, my computer acts up when it's in safe mode, even causing me further worry, because safe mode should be a very stable situation for a computer, not a iffy proposition, and it jumps out of safe mode. So anyway, I've got other issues. I'm looking at a refurb Mac right now, and they're SSDs, and so they're 256, and I'm used to a terabyte of room, and so I got to kind of shrink up my my workspace a little bit. It's going to be so much faster, but I can get one for $1,200. I'm sure I paid more than this.
Oh yeah.
For this back 8 years ago or whenever I got it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, yada yada. No.
Yada, yada. Well, you guys are going to get together. I can tell that. That's good.
For
Well, Ed, thanks so much. It really has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
I don't see how you do it day to day. Everybody's interrupting with questions and the phone rings and you're doing 6 machines. You guys are amazing. You can keep track of what you're up to.
Yeah.
Don't
Thank
buy
you.
a laptop until you check their laptops. They're so much better.
Yeah,
Even if you
Believe
don't
it.
buy it from us, we will gladly educate you on if you're looking at something specifically at Costco, we can direct we can talk about the specs and what you would look for and make a educated decision that way. We just want you to be happy with, your purchase, whether it's from us or somebody else.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. Great. Okay, well, listen, thanks so much for today. And let me just make a couple quick announcements. Let's do an applause first. Yay.
Yes.
Thanks so much. Great.
Bravo.
Thank
Bravo,
you.
bravo.
We've got 2 Zoom talks coming up on February 22nd. Claire Carpenter is going to talk about the biology of aging. And on March 22nd, Neil Barg will be talking about the scope and challenges of the health district.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so some good things coming up. And I just want to remind people that, we are trying to support the Harmon Center's Trex recycling project. You probably saw that, stretchy plastic. And they also have something going with the women's shelter where they're doing a toiletry drive. So don't forget to check that out. You can go to their website or stop by and find out more about it, or ask Chrissy or one of us to help you get connected. So thanks, everybody. And thanks again, Ed.
Yeah, you're
Thank
very
you.
welcome. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Peace.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Good night.
Right.
Right.